Direct, inverse, and joint variation. Often in math and science, measurements are related in very specific ways. For example, the circumference of a circle is always 2 pi times the radius. We can say the circumference has a direct variation or is directly proportional to the radius. This lesson looks at some very simple variations. The first type of variation is called direct variation. It's also known as being directly proportional, and the formula for it is y equals k times x. The k is called the constant of variation. And once it's determined, the k never changes, and the x and y will vary. In direct variation, if the value of x goes up, then the value of y also goes up. If x goes down, so does y. Now, there's more than one correct way to solve these problems. The method I'm using first solves for k, then we rewrite the formula only filling in k, and then finally use the rest of the information given to solve for the missing variable. The first example says y varies directly as x, so we know we're using y equals kx. Then it says y equals 45 when x equals 5. So I'll fill the 45 in for the y and the 5 for the x, and now when I divide both sides by 5, I know what k is. My formula now becomes y equals 9x. I filled the 9 in for the k. Now look at the end. Find y when x is 13. So y would be 9 times 13, which is 117. The second kind of variation is called inverse variation, or it might say inversely proportional. That formula is y equals k over x. Now the constant of variation, or the constant of proportionality, is on the numerator of a fraction and the x is underneath. For inverse variation, when x goes up, y goes down. When x goes down, y goes up. We're going to use the same method to solve this example. Y varies inversely as x, so I know I'm using y equals k over x. Then the next part says y equals 6 when x equals 3. So I fill in a 6 for the y, 3 for the x, multiply both sides by 3, and k equals 18. Now my formula becomes, filling in k, y equals 18 over x. Now look at the last part. Find y when x is 9. So y equals 18 divided by 9. Y equals 2. Direct and inverse variation can be combined into one problem. A varies directly as b and inversely as the square of c. So let's just look at that part. A varies directly as b. So A equals k times b. Inversely as the square of c. So inverse means it's going to go on the bottom, the square of c. So that's our setup. Now looking at the next part, A equals 7 when B equals 9 and C equals 6. So I can fill in those values. 7 equals k times 9 for the b over 6 squared. So 7 equals k times 9 over 36. I can multiply both sides by 36. 252 equals k times 9 and divide by 9. K equals 28. Now rewrite the formula filling in k. A equals 28b over c squared. Now I'm ready to do the last part. Find A when b is 4 and c is 8. A equals 28 times 4 over 8 squared, which is 112 over 64, which reduces down to 7 over 4. Then the third type of variation is joint variation. It's like direct, but there are two or more variables beside the k. So for example, y equals k times xw, or it could be y equals k times xwz. There's an unlimited number of variables you could have there beside the k. But if there's more than one, that's what makes it joint variation. So C varies jointly as A and T. So that would look like this. C equals K times A and T. Then the next part, C equals 175 when A is 2100 and T is 4. So 175 equals K times 2100 times 4. Multiply 2100 and 4. 175 equals K times 8400. And then divide both sides by 8400. 175 over 8400 equals K, and that reduces down to 1 over 48. It's more accurate in fraction form than some decimal that you have to round. Now rewrite the formula, filling in the K. C equals 1 over 48 AT. Look at the last part of the problem. Find C when A is 2400 and T is 6. So C equals 1 over 48 times 2400 times 6. Multiply all that together and C is 300. Be careful when working homework for problems like these and make sure you're filling in the numbers for the correct letters. Sometimes things go in a little bit different order, so just be aware of that.